It's Saturday afternoon and it's that time again. I have to feed the tiger worms. We've got 3 bathtub worm farms out the back, and each one of these has approximately 5,000 to 6,000 worms in it. As you can see, a few on the surface, but if I was to dig down into this material you'll find a lot more. Now this is the some of the scraps that we've created over the week, so I'm just dumping those into a fish bin, and I'll get out my trusty clippers and start to chop it up like so. This just makes it a little bit easier for things to break down once I dump it inside the worm farms there. Those things that I threw to one side were a couple of orange skins, I think, so don't put any citrus in because the worms aren't too keen on citrus. So in here we've got a combination of food from the kitchen and waste from the garden. Now firstly here I've got one small worm farm here. These are the ones that I sell on TradeMe. So just going to go through the exercise and give these guys some food before I deal with the ones in the bathtubs. That there is just some wet carpet that I've taken off the top. That just keeps the moisture in the bin and encourages the worms to the surface. Now I'm putting about 2 centimeters of food scraps on just one half of the bin here, and then when I feed them again next week I will rotate the food and put it on the other side. So as you can see, it's not too difficult to feed the worms. Okay, now that's done. We'll just dump the lid back on there and leave those guys to their own devices. Now here I'm lifting the lid on the first of the 2 farms that I'm going to feed today. This one up the other side, I've just set that up, so I'm not going to feed them at the moment. So once again I'm lifting off the old carpet just to access the top of the bedding there. And then it's just a matter of halving up this food and putting it into this first farm here, and then the remainder will go into the other farm beside it. Now what I'm doing here is I'm just going to do the same as I did in the smaller farm. I'm just going to put the food all down one side, and then next week when I come back to feed them again I will pull the carpet up from the other side and just put a layer of food down the other side. As I said before, you don't have to be too fussy, it's just a matter of giving them an equal amount and ensuring that I've got enough to feed the worms in the 2 farms. Now I'm just taking some wet bread out of this farm. I've actually put that in there a few days ago. I noticed there were a few white worms or pot worms in there, and by putting some wet bread in there is a good way to attract the pot worms to the bread, and then when they all gather on that I pull out the bread and throw it in one of the bird feeders. Pot worms really aren't a problem. They're not really going to affect your worm farm too greatly, but as I say, prefer not to have them in there. Okay, so that's lunch, guys. Okay, we're just doing a panorama of all the food, and then it's just a matter of pulling back the carpet and putting the lids on. Having the lids on keeps the weather out, keeps the farms from getting too hot, and also stops other predators like birds and rats getting in there. So it works really well. The farms work well, and don't get any smells or odours. It's a good system. Now here I usually do this every few days. A matter of turning on the tap and extracting all the worm juice out of the farm. Now these containers are old ice cream containers, and they're about 2 litres. So as you can see, I'm going to get this container about half full. So that's fairly typical of the amount of worm juice that I get out. Now the bottle that I'm going to tip this into is a 3 litre bottle, and on a weekly basis out of the 2 farms there beside me, I get enough worm juice to fill up one of these bottles. So I'm getting about 3 litres of worm juice each week. Now I also sell this on Trade Me, but during the spring and the summer I use it on my own garden, because it's really a great fertilizer for the garden. And that's pretty much it. Worms fed, job's done. I hope you found this video helpful. To learn more, just visit justaddworms.com.